I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. Yeah.
So, Nick, welcome back. Nice long 4th of July weekend, hopefully.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What was your favorite school trip as a kid? Could be middle school, could be high school.
My favorite school trip?
Yeah.
So are we talking like a day field trip? Or?
No, I guess it could be if you're pressed. I was thinking more towards an overnight sort of thing. You go away for a week.
Yeah, see, my thing
couple
is
of days.
That I only went on one where we went. I think we only had one where I went away. Because in high school, there was only one trip where people went away, and I didn't go on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably say the only one is when I went to Washington, D.C. in middle school, which was a lot of fun. We had, 4 people to a room. Got to see the whole area, all the D.C. history and stuff like that. It was a fun time. What about you?
We did the same thing. I think it was 7th grade. Went to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
In 6th grade, we'd go to upstate New York or Western Massachusetts. I can't really remember which one was it, but we'd do something called a Nature's Classroom, which I'm not sure if you ever got involved with at all. Tim might remember this. I don't know. I feel like they got rid of that right after my age.
I know of it, but I didn't have it as an opportunity in my grade. My son had the chance, but he didn't go.
That was a lot of fun. You just kind of go and do like Boy Scout stuff sort of thing. But, you're mixed, mixed genders, all that stuff. But right after 8th grade, we were typically supposed to go to New York. That's how it went. We did Nature's Classroom. 6th grade, Washington, D.C. 7th grade, New York City. 8th grade, unfortunately, that was 9/11 when that took place that September.
Oh.
Yeah, so that got nixed real quick.
Yeah, it kind of puts a damper on being able to go.
But, I don't Europe was never really an option for me. Of course, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home.
We had Europe in high school. It was Spain.
Really?
And it was Barcelona, and that might have been it.
A summer thing?
No, it was during April vacation.
Oh, okay.
And I remember the first year, a lot of kids got in trouble because I think that some people went drinking.
Of course. They're of age over there.
Exactly, but because it was a U.S. sanctioned field trip, or whatever, school sanctioned field trip.
Yeah, you can't allow that stuff.
No, of course not, no. But yeah, that did not go over well.
At the parochial high school I was at, we would do something called the March for Life. Now, this may be a hot button issue. The pro-life walk, where school would send down a bunch of kids, and we would go on the pro-life walk down in Washington, D.C.
So, even people that weren't pro-life would still go just to get out of school for the day?
You go for the weekend, essentially. But I think it's like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come home Sunday sort of thing.
Okay.
But that's essentially what it was. And then you would fulfill your community service requirement.
Oh, there you go.
That you would need to graduate with.
Yeah. You guys are lucky. I didn't get anything that was more than just like 1 day field trips.
Like Plymouth Plantation or something like that.
Yeah, I think
which is fun.
Yeah, I don't think that was a thing this type of thing was a thing for a long time.
They did. They had an 8th grade field trip to Washington every year except my year. Mm-hmm. But then I did get to go when I was a sophomore or a junior. I got to go with my sister's 8th grade class. Yeah, I would have been a junior because they needed somebody to videotape it. And I was, AV club president.
Sure. Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I got to go on a free trip to Washington.
That's awesome, then.
Nice.
I think the coolest field trip I ever had was all the kids had senior skip day.
Sure. Yep.
And I couldn't take part in that because I had an AP test that day. So
sick brag.
I was only in school
brag.
because I had to be there. Mm-hmm. And anybody that was in school that day, the principal rewarded everybody that didn't skip with a field trip to Boston, where we got to go to Boston Bowl and have 3 hours of video games and bowling and pool all for free.
Nice.
We got to have lunch at Faneuil Hall, which he just gave everybody, they handed everybody a $20 bill to go out and buy lunch at Faneuil Hall.
Right, and back in that time, you could get a lot with $20.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then, back in those days, we paid 10 cents for a hamburger. But we also got a behind-the-scenes tour of the Fleet Center.
Oh, yeah,
which was in the Shawmut Center, which it had not opened yet. This was 1995. No, 96.
Nice. Okay.
So we got to see this behind-the-scenes tour of them still building what would become the TD Garden.
That's a pretty good field trip.
Not bad for a one-day field trip.
Right, yeah. And for doing the right thing. Spike Lee'd it, and it paid off.
Yeah, I just remember walking down the street in Boston smoking clove cigarettes like a bunch of teenage douches.
Sure.
I'll tell you the first...
Looking for the combat zone.
Somewhere around here, there's a porn theater.
You brought up the pro-life thing. I remember when I went down to D.C., they had some people there handing out flyers and things. They're handing out to us kids.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing, images of babies.
The pictures and everything scar you.
Oh,
right?
my God.
Yeah.
It was awful. I still remember the first one I got handed to me. I was like, I'm in 8th grade. Why are you handing this to me right now?
That's exactly how I felt, except I was a junior in high school. I was a little bit of a late bloomer, so I still wasn't prepared for.
And you were
what my
never
eyes
the
were
same.
Seeing. Yeah, but so we're obviously going to be talking about Spider-Man: Far From Home today. This, of course, is Wesley Sykes. We have Nick Fryer and the illustrious man in the chair, Tim Weisberg, on WBSM's 1420 AM in Fairhaven / New Bedford. Hopefully, you're following along on their YouTube stream. But we never really had I wasn't that cool where I was like, I don't know, it didn't seem like that fun. I would always being very panicked on these trips, and it was always like a big social thing. Like I had my group of friends and everything, but this is the age where everyone's starting to pair off with girls. Again, I just mentioned I was a little bit of a late bloomer.
Yep.
It's a very anxious ridden time. Like people are getting hand jobs left and right on the bus rides down and everything.
No, you're right, because I know on my DC trip for my 8th grade prom, that's where I met my prom date.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That didn't end up going all that great. I kind of wasn't that great, but I mean, she was also a little bit odd, but it was two-way street. But yeah, so I totally get what you're talking about for sure.
Yeah, it's not like I'm planning out to convey my love and the Eiffel Tower and buy some Black Dahlia necklace and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely a bit extravagant, and I think nowadays definitely would throw a girl off.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have back, when we were kids too, but now I think it would definitely.
And I don't have this problem typically. My feet don't usually sweat or smell uncontrollably, but for whatever reason on the trip down to DC, I think it was one of the first time I did the pro-life walk. My feet were sweating uncontrollably and then caused this nasty smell because my feet were just sitting in hot sweat.
Really?
The whole bus ride down with nowhere to go.
See, it was
mortifying.
When I was that age,
everyone smelt it.
Yeah, that is brutal.
And I'm trying to be nah, it's not me. I smell it too. It's gross.
So I used to have smelly feet big time too. My question to you is, did you when you say you sweat, was it you could feel it you had sweaty pits? See, I've never dealt with that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was a one-time thing. I never had any experience with it before. It didn't come back to haunt me at all.
Maybe I have had it and I just never noticed it because it happened to me so much, but that is awful, Wes. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was that's all I remember about this trip.
So I never had to deal with girls knowing I had smelly feet. It's always been guys. Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, it was a tough one. But we rebound, we come back stronger than ever.
Yeah, I think you've made out fine.
I hope I turned out okay,
I just meant in the ladies game you've turned out fine.
Right. Well, yeah,
in general I
usually don't lead off with that sort of thing.
Right. Actually, Julia told me that was the first story that you ever told her, and that's when she knew you were the one.
That's it, right there.
Yeah,
right.
It was weird. I mean, I you know what? I've learned from it, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use an embarrassing story next time.
Yeah. See,
or maybe I'll use your story now.
You can use it. I'm okay with that. Okay. Whatever works for you.
I appreciate that very much. You just can never meet whoever I end up, whoever ends up being the one you can't meet her.
Right. Exactly. No, just give me a heads up next time.
Okay, that's what I'll do for sure.
Some news, huh? Let's get to some news this week.
So, what do you got for me first, Wes? I know there's I haven't started watching the show yet, but I was told that Stranger Things is out now.
Yes, it came out 4th of July, the 3rd season, so it's available now on Netflix. I have one episode left. I know Tim just wrapped it up and gave me a nice little pro tip to stick around through the final credits of the last episode because there's a mid-credit scene.
Got that, everybody? Because Tim said that it's happened to a lot of people already. They haven't seen it.
Apparently, that ties up some loose ends or maybe keeps the door open for what may happen if there's a season 4. But essentially 8 episodes, again, released on July 4th. Roughly 50-minute episodes. I think the last one's about an hour 20.
Okay.
But very bingeable. I think on the 5th of July, Julie and I, we just went through 4 or 5 episodes in one sitting.
Really?
Pretty hungover, pretty sunburned, as you might be able to tell.
You were already kind of tan, though. I mean, that's not.
Oh, but it's that's like a farmer tan. the inside, the core hasn't seen the light of day in some time.
Gotcha. Okay, so so that shirt's a pretty accurate representation of what you look like.
Yeah, exactly. Not now, but
I never wear white shirts, and I've never seen you in a white shirt, and we're both wearing one on the same day.
Oh, yeah? Well, a little USA pride here as a 4th of July weekend.
And I'm repping by your terms.
National team.
Yes, of course. So wait a minute, before you get any further on
Stranger Things,
do you want a 4th season?
I liked this one. It seems like, they're hitting that awkward stage where they're kind of teenagers. They're not the lovable kids anymore. Mm-hmm. And they're just kind of weird. Like there's, I think Will doesn't want to grow up, and he's kind of playing this asexual card where he's not really interested in the women, but you're not sure if he's gay also. So I think that's kind of interesting, and
Have you seen the meme going around?
With the wizard hat and the That 70s show.
That 70s show?
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's awesome. And everyone's kind of pairing off and getting into relationships, and he's not in there. And then
is that the curly-haired kid?
No, the curly-haired kid is Dustin.
Okay.
And he's hooked up. I'm blanking on his name, but the older guy, what's his name? Steve?
Steve, yeah.
Steve, thank you. So they get back, and they have a real kind of cool buddy cop sort of thing going on.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying he hooked up with an older guy.
No, they linked up. They linked back up together. Sorry.
Got it, yeah.
You got, Hopper, who's played by I'm blanking on his name.
I know nothing about
David Harbour. Thank you. It's the moment that Tim wheels back in his chair to answer, I come up with it.
Yep.
Sorry to bother you like that, Tim, as he's working diligently on a story right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he's ripping cigs like a pro. You know how I'm a big pro cigarette smoker and film and television.
And you care about how they do it.
Yeah, he does it. Yeah, he really pulls it off. He looks like a veteran cig smoker.
Okay, David Harbour, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you see that has actually caused problems?
It has. It's problematic. Yeah.
Netflix is making a no cigarettes policy now.
No, they're not.
They are. Yep.
You've got to be kidding me.
Is it?
It's part
I don't know
of
if
black and white like that. I thought they were going to be scaling back how much.
Yeah, I think there's gonna. I think anything that kids will watch, they'll cut it out.
See,
but
you know what?
More adult stuff can have it.
That is so freaking infuriating. Look, I'm not going and saying that I haven't tried things through the years, but there is stuff that I haven't tried, and you know why? Because I've been told by my parents, you should try this, you shouldn't try that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And I take some of the things that they say and I run with it. And then there are other things that I decide, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it because I want to try it, because I like the idea.
Yeah.
And then I suffer the consequences. But to tell them, to just pull out cigarettes like that in general, I've smoked cigars.
Sure.
And tried other stuff, but I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. Not one.
Yeah, I fell victim to it. I smoked for about eight years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was a little predisposed to it. My parents, my family were smokers. But anyway, it's the 80s, so the smoking was very prevalent at that time. Also, I don't think it's very cool to smoke cigarettes anymore. I'm not sure if that's what grabs kids' attentions these days. Everyone's vaping. Everyone's doing juuling and
people
stuff.
don't. Yeah, honestly, the whole stopping smoking cigarettes really started to, I think, get traction when we were kids.
Right.
So, and I have nothing. If someone wants to smoke cigarettes, that's fine. Do your thing. Like I said, I'm no angel, but God, it's just I just don't understand. You're going to pull everything away from these kids. Then the second they get exposed to it in real life and they don't have any introduction to it, then it's like, oh my God, what's this new thing? And that's where they really run into trouble. So it's on the parents. That's why it's the toughest job in the world. But unfortunately, any idiot can do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. But Hopper, to his credit, I think he's ripping cigarettes like he's getting paid by Joe Camel. He's doing a hell of a job out there. Just there's a couple of great new additions. You got Alexi and Robin, who I think are enter the fold nice. You have Nancy and Jonathan kind of pair off. They're going for rabid rats and kind of trying to pull some thread on the sweater of this story that they're trying to uncover. Then you got Billy, who's the broke ass Zac Efron, who's kind of the embodiment of the villain or the monster in the show. So
okay,
I think it's a good show. I mean, there's not a whole lot available out there. There's not a whole lot of good content out there right now, at least for the movies and TV and that sort of thing.
Yeah, reach a lull.
Yeah, you can kind of rip through this, and this is definitely holds your attention.
So my last question would be, which Robin is it?
What do you mean?
Is it Dick Grayson? Is it Jason Todd?
Oh, I see.
I couldn't help it.
That's a good one.
Anyways,
it's a lesbian Robin.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a lesbian Robin in the comics. There are female Robins. Anyways.
Yes.
Moving on. We got some Star Wars stuff too. Some Star Wars news.
Yeah. Daisy Ridley confirms Rey's parents are explained in Rise of the Skywalker.
Thank you.
So I think this is coming from Screen Rant.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is so it won't be
no
retconned.
USA Today. You said.
Oh yeah. Oh, but it was a story I read in Screen Rant where she says this
To
in
USA,
the USA Today.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. The aggregation can throw you
Yes,
off.
exactly. So in this, in speaking to USA Today, Ridley said that director J.J. Abrams did say the question is answered. So at the end of the film, you know what the dealio is. That was a direct quote.
Yep.
You know what the dealio is.
Yes. Daisy Ridley can say dealio.
Yeah. Is that Busta Rhymes? What's the dealio? Is that? Did he? I think he used to say that.
I think he introduced that to the lexicon.
I believe
Really?
so.
Busta Rhymes.
Yeah. You know.
I did not know that.
You know that they could actually have this go any way they want because, like, who's to say that Kylo Ren was telling her the truth?
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people are like, oh, the last movie said that they weren't anybody important. So, like, oh, God
What does
forbid
that
he
mean?
lied.
Yeah, the bad guy lies
Yeah.
to the good guy in the
I
movie.
was not a
go
huge
figure.
fan of 8, but 9 could make 8 a lot better.
Well, again, it's going back to J.J. Abrams, who did 7. So I think that'll be interesting. He kind of builds up on what Daisy Ridley said from a few months ago. He was quoted as saying, "I will say that we knew going into this that this movie is it had to be satisfying conclusion." And we were well aware that that's one of the things that's sort of been out there. I don't want to say what happens in episode 8 didn't happen. We have honored that, but I will say that there's more to the story than you've seen.
Yeah, my thing with Rian Johnson is he basically wanted to break the wheel, right?
Right, and that was it. The overall theme, right?
Yeah.
Kills off Han Solo.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean it's
Whoops.
What do you mean?
Well, that's a spoiler, right?
Oh, if you haven't, okay, look, it's just like what was it with what did you spoil for me?
A Star is Born.
Star is Born,
Yeah,
yeah.
the movie that was remade 3 times over.
That's the
and
other
came
thing,
out 9+ years ago. 9 months ago.
So did the same thing that happened to Bradley Cooper in that?
In a similar fashion.
Okay, but
Maybe not exactly.
but
yeah.
similar fashion. That's all that matters. Anyways, like his whole thing was Rian Johnson wanted to break the wheel with the 8th movie of Star Wars, of the Star Wars main story. I mean, the wheel was already broken in the first one when you have the main character is a female,
Right.
and then you have the number 2 character is a black male. I mean, like that, you've broken the wheel already to some extent.
Absolutely.
And then I don't know what Oscar Isaac's nationality is, but I mean, if that he was barely in the
I want to say Jewish, but I'm not entirely sure about that. That's just a hunch I'm going off.
Yeah, but either way, like it's if that's the one white male that you have in the movie, I mean, he's the 3rd character by far. He had a bigger role in number 8 than he did in 7.
Yeah.
So I don't understand all the other things you're trying to do.
It's the fake outrage about everything. It's the hashtag release the Snyder Cut, which I put in here. I don't really want to talk. I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, if you guys want to, if you are anti-Snyder Cut, go follow my boss at Geeks Worldwide, Casey Walsh. He loves to go after those people.
Oh, and he's amazing follow, by the way.
Yeah,
I followed him recently and immediately paid dividends.
Yeah.
He is not afraid to share his opinions or call people out on it. It's refreshing.
Nope.
I enjoy. I know I will not be coming after him. I'm just going to take him at face value and tip my cap and say good job and have a nice day.
Yep, and he is
stay out of his mentions.
He has good sources too, and he always shows our show support too, which I appreciate.
Yeah, which is much. That wasn't a knock on him by any means.
No, I know you wouldn't.
I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, he's the man. And speaking of fake outrage,
yes.
So Halle Bailey, which the first time I saw this, I was like, Halle Berry? Wait, what? I just
someone should have told her to change her name. That happens all the time in Hollywood, right? Because that's going to be too close.
It is way too close. I'm like, this isn't Halle Berry. She looks really young, or is this like Halle Berry?
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was the second daughter or something.
You can't have a junior female, right? Like that's not a thing, is it?
Well, I guess you could have the same name. I don't think it would be. I don't think you'd call him Jr.
Yeah, because the last name's different, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you can actually do that if you want. So a female can be named after another female, and then it's up to you if you want to use the junior suffix as part of it.
I'm sure,
but it can be done.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be allowed. That'd be a very weird law. Like,
in 2019,
the junior thing is the weird part, though.
Right.
Like, that's what I wouldn't fully get. But because technically, my mom. So my grandmother, my maternal grandmother is Eduarda Maria, and my mom was Maria Eduarda.
Yeah.
So that was
the old flipperoo.
Exactly. But anyways, so Halle Bailey, I'm gonna say it wrong again, has been cast as Ariel in the the live edition of
live action. We'll
live
call
action.
it that.
Thank you. Live action version of the Little Mermaid, and apparently people are pissed off about it. Wes and I were talking about this before the show. Actually, we've said it before. We were fine with Idris Elba being cast as Batman if that came to pass, or James Bond. You were telling me he doesn't want to be James Bond.
Yeah, he didn't. He turned down James Bond because he didn't want to face the backlash. I could be misinterpreting this, but I remember hearing this somewhere fairly recently that he didn't want to, take the backlash on for being the first Black James Bond and a character that's historically been a white Englishman.
There are some characters out. See, when you say the Englishman part, I understand it a little, but he's also he's British too. Yeah. So I don't like. There are some roles where I get it. Like I've seen Superman come up where people say Michael B. Jordan should be the next Superman. When what's his face, Henry Cavill was cast out as Superman. There are some roles where I don't think you should do it. Like Black Panther, you can't go and No,
it just doesn't work. And it's usually the other way around. Like you can't have a white guy who plays like a historically black character,
right? Or like when you put Matt Damon as the hero in the Great Wall of China movie, like what are we doing here, people?
Yeah, I think Tom Cruise was another instance in that. I think Last Samurai.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right. So it's happened a lot more where it's whitewashing is what it's called,
right?
But now you see it where you bring in characters of other ethnicities and they want to take over those roles. Look, there are some, like Superman, I don't think Michael B. Jordan should be Clark Kent. But a big reason for that is there is a black Superman. Same thing with Green Lantern. I don't think you should have a black man play Hal Jordan because Jon Stewart. Or if you're going to do that,
go the Jon Stewart route.
Well, that or Jon Stewart then should become white if you're going to introduce him. Like you flip-flop it, or you just make them another ethnicity. Like I just think that at some point, but again, by and large, I don't think it matters. Like Batman can be black. I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't like.
That's kind of how I feel about this. I don't think it really matters. I mean, you see the set photos of her. It works.
I didn't even see the set photos.
Yeah.
But who gives a damn?
Yeah, she's got the red hair. And, it works.
Oh, does she have red hair?
Well, I think it's wig work or dyeing or something. I'm sure it's not naturally red.
No, definitely not.
No. But it doesn't bother me.
I just don't like. The exceptions that I threw out there are just so few of them. In general, who gives a damn? It's a person. It's a female playing a female character. That's all I care about. Like that's really all that should matter. Other than that, dude, like who gives a damn about someone's color of their skin? Like it just. I just will never understand how people get so outraged over it.
And it's interesting because, like, I think about Will Smith. He did Wild Wild West in late 90s or something like that.
Yeah.
And James West was a white character from I think it was a TV show or maybe an older movie, whatever the case was, in the first iteration of Wild Wild West. And there's some uproar about him. And obviously that movie flopped for a lot of other reasons that was not Will Smith related.
Yeah.
Think of the Mechanical Spider as chief among them. But at any rate, I thought that, I didn't know anything different when I went to go see it in the theaters. But I would say that when you have an iconic cast of characters, let's say Ghostbusters, for example, in the remake with that they did with, the women cast, I think it was Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig.
Yep.
That didn't play to me. That didn't work for me. And it failed miserably.
It did, yeah, but I think in the end just wasn't it not well done?
Right. That could have been, like, again, I didn't see the movie.
Yeah.
But it also didn't interest me enough to go see it.
Well, there were some times
because that just didn't work to me.
Well, there was
I came around on Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Ocean's 8.
I agree with you. There are some times where you force it and it's just like, okay, this is a little bit too on the nose. Like you love to say, it's too on the nose. And with Ocean's 8, it's like I don't know, maybe it has to do with the fact that it was Sandra Bullock that I didn't care, because I like Sandra Bullock. I think she's a good actress, and there were other ones that were in there that were good. I don't know, but the point is that there are sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not going to work. But like again, it's just when the background is important to the character, like a Black Panther, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to you, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, that one I might be a little apprehensive. Whereas maybe whereas Ariel, I don't think it makes a difference. It makes no lick of difference.
It depends on what you're doing. Is it going to be, the era that it's set in, the time that it's set in? Yeah, that sort of thing.
Sometimes that matters. But if it's modern day stuff, it doesn't matter. And again, Batman, I don't care. We've said it. Michael B. Jordan would be a good Red Hood.
Yeah,
I would love that. I think his Killmonger plays well with Red Hood. I just. The fake outrage. I mean, it goes both ways at this point, though, Wes. It's the sad part, whether you're on the right or the left, and I just don't get it. Like we're all just people at the end of it all, like right?
Exactly.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's fake news.
So, anyways, going on to the comic book minute. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system.
No, get it off there.
Walking Dead came to an end last week, and I apologize for not letting you guys know because I was unaware that it was coming to an end. Tim apparently knew. Issue 193.
Couldn't get to 200, huh?
I guess not.
Just force out 7.
Yeah.
7 more.
I don't know what happened, but obviously it had a great run. Robert Kirkman, one of the longest-running independent comics ever, has done very well with the show. Had its ups and downs, but I mean, a very lucrative story for sure. And then where that has ended, a new story begins with Marvel.
Now, this one really piqued my interest. I'm still a little confused by this.
You and me both, brother. Marvel has partnered up with Axe Body Spray to bring forth The Freshman, which was on CBR. I guess there's like a trailer on YouTube. And it says, the trailer, let's see.
Now, there's a hyphen, sorry to interrupt. So it's not necessarily the freshman.
Yep.
But it's the fresh men.
Yep.
Right.
So the narration in the video explains, thanks to a combination of their own scientific know-how and Wakandan technology, these students become superheroes. The superheroes Burner, Windchill, Kid Vanish, Override, and Double Time. Together, they are the freshmen. And I guess in school, they're actually freshmen.
Okay.
And they go through the whole experience of being a superhero and how it's not so easy. I guess they're going to bring in some of the Avengers in the course of it all, too. And some
Okay.
I mean, that's going to lead some people to maybe read it. But
does Marvel really need to do a shameless paid sponsorship like this? Like, don't they have enough money?
Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't turn away money when you can. But
I guess.
This just sounds so stupid. I mean, what I can't get behind it at all. I want no part of it, and part of me wants me to tell everybody just don't buy it, don't touch it, because it just sounds so stupid. It's so half-assed too.
But like, it's also one of those things that's like a bad car accident. Like, I want to see what this is all about. Like, I want to see how bad this is. Kind of like how I feel about Spider-Man 3 now, which we'll get into a little bit later. But that movie was so bad for a long time. Now it's kind of come like a joke. And I enjoy watching it because it's funny to me. I'm not watching it for the value, but I want to like laugh at the movie.
Yeah.
So maybe it kind of works out like that.
Maybe.
Like, you see it now. I just want to see how bad this is.
I won't. I can't imagine doing that with reading. That I don't know.
I imagine that crosses over.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I personally can't do it.
Maybe you don't pay for it. I don't know how that works out.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it sounds like an absolute mess. I'm all set. I'm honestly done with this topic. I want to know what we have to stay woke about this week, Wes.
Yeah, so this is a topical stay woke of the week.
I always love that.
As we mentioned, we will be breaking down Spider-Man Far From Home in the very forthcoming moments here. But before that, I would like you to stay woke that the lead villain, anti-hero, Quentin Beck, Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, is just a continuation of his role as Louis Bloom in the 2014 film Nightcrawler. Have you seen this film?
Oh, yeah. I love that movie. Yeah.
Tim, have you seen Nightcrawler?
I actually turned off something the other day and it was on, and I watched a few minutes of it, and I said, it was kind of in the middle of the movie, and I said, I'm going to have to go back and
it is a fantastic film. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors out there right now, so this kind of does, but to kind of, that's my thesis statement, if you will. So to go further deeper into my supporting sentences of my 5-paragraph essay, Spider-Man Far From Home is not so subtly about the power of the media and how it can shape perception of the public to direct them to the creation of a favorable narrative. Put that sentence together myself. I think that was pretty strong.
You did a good job.
But we can see it mostly with Quentin Beck's character. Also, we see it in some of the stinger scenes that we'll get into here. As Peter's friends just named the new superhero as Mysterio after seeing him on TV. The TV headline in Italy, in Venice, when the first fight happens, is Mysterio, which is Italian for mystery, and then they just end up rolling with it anyway, and like no one bothers to correct it.
Nope.
So it picks up steam, and then exactly. So the train's already left the station, and then through word of mouth, the narrative's set, regardless if the correct information gets out there. And Nightcrawler, Louis Bloom, turns from a naive, desperate man into a ruthless crime journalist willing to do anything to become the center of a story and receive the notoriety he's always craved, even if that means creating fraudulent storylines or altering crime scenes. So who's to say Louis Bloom didn't move on from, filming fiery car crashes and staging accidents in Los Angeles for local news stations and made waves, a little further up in NoCal in Silicon Valley and worked his way into creating the BARF technology?
I think that's very, very fair.
I mean, it's actually like eerily similar though. The character trait, not exactly the same, but
well, yeah, I would say, I would say that Beck's more like what he does is more insane, but I do think that Louis Bloom like acts. Like I think he acts
Quentin
crazier.
Beck has a relatability factor to him, and a thing that people can come towards. He has a gravity to him, where Louis Bloom is a loner, and I think he even says in the movie, like, I hate people.
Yeah, he's so bananas, but at the same time, what he's doing, as insane as it is in the grand scheme of things, far less nuts than what Quentin Beck is. But the way they carry themselves is like almost opposite. But yeah, I mean, Louis Bloom was. What did he do before he was doing all the cameraman stuff?
I can't remember. So I just recently rewatched that movie, again. But I caught it. It was on HBO or something like that.
Oh,
I think it was on one of the movie HBO or Showtime. Not 100%
I hope it's not
sure.
Showtime. I don't have Showtime.
So I caught it, at 10 or 15 minutes in, but I'd seen it before, so I still kind of got the gist of it. But I forget what he was doing before that.
Okay, I gotta look. I may try and watch this again.
But yes, that was pretty. I just thought that was kind of interesting because again, he's like very mild mannered. For the most part, until he goes off the rail, until you piss him off. And both of them.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how much inspiration Louis Bloom was in the creation of Quentin Beck.
Did you ever see Prisoners?
Yes.
He was really good in that movie, too.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Gyllenhaal is a phenomenal actor. I think he may be the best one of our generation.
Yeah, he's really up there. Depending on I was going to say Joaquin Phoenix, depending on how the Joker comes out.
Yep, Joaquin Phoenix.
Man, I was watching Vice over the weekend. I haven't finished it, but Christian Bale definitely has to be in that conversation.
Oh, that's the Dick Cheney movie, right? I was thought you were talking about like Vice News or something.
I'm really messed up though because I was watching that, and I was also watching the Roger Ailes show that's on Showtime, The Loudest Voice, with Russell Crowe playing Roger Ailes.
Oh,
so it's like there's a Roger Ailes in Vice, and then like Cheney's in The Loudest Voice. So it got really confusing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. That'd be another show for another day. I would say is best actor and best actress of our lifetime, or female actor and male actor. I don't know how it's.
I think actor and actress. I think that still works, right? Is it?
I don't know. It shouldn't.
You'd have to,
what is it?
We'd have to consult the Academy on that one.
Yeah. Again, we're just yes, definitely consult them. But anyways, anything else on this?
No, I think that just about wraps it up. It's a little bit of a short one, and I wanted to make sure I kind of got that in there about the whole. Idea of fake news as it is. I think that's really a big topic that they tackle in this movie. Again, not so subtly, obviously, with the the mid-credits scene going on there, and just how Mysterio and Quentin Beck uses his powers, quote unquote, to make himself into a superhero when that's all he really wants to do. It's actually very similar to now that I think about it, is to what's his name in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin. But the real Mandarin, not the actor. They're shaping the perception of the people through the power of the media.
You look at and that's very relevant now too for the sports fans because you got all the basketball stuff going on. We were talking about that before. It's been Banana Land.
Fake sources.
Yeah, exactly. Fake sources.
I'm told.
Yes.
I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly.
99.9% sure. There's a lot of key buzzwords.
Yeah, exactly.
It's from its source, or I'm being told. This is how you start off the tweet. Then you have popular player X is going to, block out, top 5 team destination, whether it's Los Angeles, New York, Miami.
Right.
That's actually probably, you got the 5 teams in there pretty much.
Yeah, you gotta.
And then sources close to me said there. So
unless it's a certain,
it's one sort of algorithm.
There are some people out there you can trust on one source, and then by and large, if they're not using sources, then you shouldn't be listening to them. That's kind of how I go about it.
Well, yeah, and essentially, not to get too off the rails here, but from the people that I listen to, and the high-ranking NBA people who were all saying pretty much in unison, we don't know what Kawhi Leonard's doing. In fact, we're getting calls from teams asking us, what is Kawhi Leonard doing? So nobody knows. But yet you have these punk kids who are left and right off the street. Every hour getting an update on what Kawhi's where he's going.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Something's not adding up there.
No, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more, Wes. But continuing with the fake news and everything, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
We both watched that this weekend. It came out, what was it, last Tuesday?
Last Tuesday. Yeah.
And how, any idea how it's doing so far?
It is undoubtedly number one in the box office.
Nice.
With a strong opening weekend. This is, of course, from Box Office Mojo with $93 million over the weekend, $185 million since the Tuesday release date domestically, and then a $580 million hauling worldwide.
Wow.
So that's like
awesome.
something like $380 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Over foreign seas.
This was good. I was very pleased with this movie.
Yeah, and following the events of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man must step up to take on new threats in a world that has changed forever. It's starring, of course, Tom Holland, Zendaya.
I think it's Zendaya. No, you might be right, Zendaya.
Zendaya.
I've heard it a couple different ways now, and I just don't know.
She used to be on. The first time I ever saw her was on those
Disney Channel. She was a Disney Channel.
I never saw her on Disney Channel. I'm not saying you're wrong. I saw her on one of the acne commercials.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And it's
Proactive or something like that.
I think it was Proactive, and it was definitely Zendaya.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll go. I have a tough time watching now because now I've been watching Euphoria on HBO, and she's deals with very adult situations.
Mm-hmm.
And is very serious and somber. And here she's like nervous, like doesn't really know what to do with herself. High school, like average high school girl. So it's like it was weird kind of seeing that stark contrast as they're both kind of happening right now.
Does she is she believable? Do you find in the other role?
Yeah, she's great.
I think she does a good job in this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's a great actress. I think it works out well. So we also have the aforementioned Jake Gyllenhaal. The lovely Marissa Tomei, Samuel L. Jackson, Jon Favreau, J. Bruce Smoove, Martin Starr. So a lot of good cast here.
I think Favreau had a good movie. I was very, very pleased.
Big Jon Favreau fan as it is.
This was probably outside. I mean, this is the most screen time he's probably had ever. Maybe not more than Iron Man 1. But
I would say, that's a good question. I don't know. I would have to go back and see that. But he definitely does have a lot of screen time on this, which is nice.
It's number 1 or 2 in the MCU for him for sure. But did a great job.
IMDb gets an 8.1
Okay.
My score? Well, let's go with your score. What's your score?
I was going to say it was 8.5 when we last checked in, I think, right? Right before it was released to everybody.
So. I'd have to go back and
I'm fairly certain that's what it was, and that was like right around where Endgame was. So 8.1. Based on what IMDb does and how we've graded them so far, we're usually a little bit more generous than IMDb is. So I think that's it makes a lot of sense. I have it actually as an 89 out of 100.
Yeah.
That
makes two of us right here.
Well, there we go. That's where I had Captain Marvel, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're getting like really down to the nitty gritty, I'm probably. I think I'm gonna take this. I would take this over Captain Marvel.
I mean, that's not a question for me.
Yeah.
I was a little bit lower on that.
Yeah, you were. You had that. Did you have it in the 70s, Captain Marvel?
High 70s, maybe low 80s, somewhere around there. I'd have to go back and actually look through the old notes here.
Because there's like a difference between being objective about it and how we liked it too. Like I'm giving it, that's my objective score. How I liked it is definitely higher than Captain Marvel.
Well, yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier today, and I think the timing of where it's placed is that that Captain Marvel was a nice appetizer to what we all wanted in the main course of Endgame.
Yep, and give you
part of it, while it also was cleansing your palate, it's also like this isn't what I want.
Right, and
I want Endgame.
Having that loom over it had an effect on people's reactions to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed this, it's like you're probably not getting another one for a little while, so
let me savor this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of, and then it's also been a little bit of April to July, a couple of months. So I'm kind of getting that craving for that more content.
And then there was the social media build up with it too, where everybody's like getting all upset about a lead woman role and
which is tiring.
Again, who cares?
I
mean, I enjoyed her character, but anyways, it's just another. We don't need to get bogged down in that stuff.
So I think the timing of that. So had that movie had come out not right before Endgame, I think let's say the roles are reversed. Since Far From Home came out before Endgame, I think you might have suffered a little bit more of a downfall.
Maybe it's Spider-Man though. Still. He's one of
exactly. And that's also another thing too is that I wasn't crazy on Captain Marvel because I was out of the comic book game before. I got a chance to really find out who she was.
And I was never. I've never had any interest in Captain Marvel's character. She's too overpowering. That's just what it comes down to. But before we go further,
yes,
We haven't spoiled anything yet.
No.
But just a reminder, everybody, we are going to spoil this movie.
Yeah, spoiler-filled podcast, as we like to say here.
Yep, absolutely. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Well, no, I was going to say, before we get into any of the spoiler stuff, let's give me your Spider-Man movie rankings.
Okay, so There's
8 of them.
This was actually fairly easy, guy, because you had the MCU rankings listed as well. That was very
we'll do that after.
Okay,
yeah.
So with the Spider-Man rankings, I have Into the Spider-Verse as my number 1. Spider-Man Far From Home, the one we are going to review, as my number 2.
Number 2, very nice.
The first Raimi Spider-Man, number 3. Spider-Man 2, the Raimi one as well, that's my 4. The Amazing Spider-Man is number 5. Spider-Man Homecoming is number 6. Then I have 50 Miles of Crap. Then Spider-Man 3 is my number 7. And then Amazing Spider-Man 2 is my 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we pretty much fall in alignment there. Just a quick rundown. I agree on Spider-Verse. I got Homecoming number 2, Far From Home number 3, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 number 4, Raimi's original Spider-Man 5, The Amazing Spider-Man 6. Although fastly approaching, like I just said a little bit earlier in the show here, Spider-Man 3 is growing on me.
That's crazy.
Because just of how bad and cheesy it is. Like, I love the whole emo, Peter Parker with the dance scene, and I love the overacting that James Franco does when he's in the coffee shop with the pie, and the waitress comes up to him and says, "How's the pie?" And he's like, "So good." This is so good.
That is, I can't get behind that.
And then Amazing Spider-Man 2. Just because for the awful, the awful CGI in Electro.
There's a lot of bad stuff in both of those movies, but there is some pretty substantial differences in there because I have the first Raimi Spider-Man a couple slots higher, and I have Homecoming way down compared to you. I have it at my number 6.
I loved Homecoming. I don't know. That's top 5 MCU movie for me.
Yeah, it's not in my top 10. Spoiler alert. I walked out of that movie and I was like, I don't know how I felt about this. That's one of the few MCU movies where I was like,
really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's better than it.
I'll list it off.
Let's
10
do that.
movies
Yeah, tell me.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So my MCU ranking. So Endgame number 1, Infinity War number 2. But I will say, Infinity War's rewatchability now, the whole movie has gone down immensely for me.
Right.
But in terms of how much I enjoyed it when I first saw it, Infinity War is definitely number 2. Guardians 1, number 3. Winter Soldier is 4. Ragnarok is 5. Those are like ironclad, no doubt in my mind.
Sure.
Civil War is 6. Iron Man has actually crept back up in my rankings, number 7. I had it a little farther down. Ant-Man and the Wasp is number 8 for me. Spider-Man Far From Home is 9, and then Black Panther is 10. This is not an objective list. This is how I feel about watching these movies again. What do you have for 10?
Yeah, I'm surprised you have Ant-Man and the Wasp in there. As someone who loves me some Paul Rudd and Ant-Man.
I love Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that. Okay,
big fan.
So we flip-flop 1 and 2. I have Infinity War 1, Endgame 2. Guardians 3, Winter Soldier 4. Then number 5 is coming in with Homecoming.
Wow.
Thor Ragnarok, Civil War, Far From Home at 8. I really love this movie.
It was good.
Black Panther 9, although that's falling on my list. The rewatchability of that it just doesn't do it for me as much.
That's fair.
Then Iron Man's 10, much like you said, it's the way that they've been able to tie everything into the original Iron Man through these first 23 movies. Is that what it is? Has been amazing. I love that.
Seeing what they were able to, it was actually on over the weekend, and I caught a little bit of it. I think it was on FX or FXX.
Yeah, they're running through all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was seeing what they were able to do with the CGI and everything like that. And Robert Downey Jr.'s performance too was phenomenal. And just seeing how, yes, he's grown as a character, but there were so many similarities that I still appreciate and love that he was it was just amazing how he was able to do that for so long. So yeah, it's crept back up in my rankings. It deserves to be there. The one that's probably the biggest snub by us is the original Avengers, which was close.
Right. Yeah, and that's, I was thinking about putting that on there. But again, I don't know. It's just a little wonky. I have a tough time watching Captain America in that the really cartoony suit that he's in. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with Thor, the long hair and the Thor, and he's still kind of doing the Shakespearean type thing. He
looked weird. His forehead looked gigantic early on in the MCU, and then yes, that is the worst Captain America outfit I think we've ever seen. His freaking World War II one was better. The other one too that deserves a little more credit than I think it gets is probably Doctor Strange, but the rewatchability on that movie is
low. And again, it was great to watch in a 3D movie. I think I did see it in 3D if I recall correctly. Mm-hmm. And it was a visually stunning movie. You know, much kind of like this is. Like I recommend seeing this in a 3D theater. I didn't.
Mm-hmm. I didn't either. But I mean, I could see how that would be. But
I wish someone had been like, go see this in a 3D theater.
That's fair. I mean, I've never. Yeah. I think that the one where it's like makes the biggest difference because you should see it in IMAX too almost is Strange.
Yeah,
it's the most visually stunning movie we've seen out of the MCU for sure. But yeah, so I don't have Homecoming, not even close to being on my list.
Yeah,
sorry.
I just don't understand that.
I don't know, man. I wasn't a huge fan of Holland. I mean, like in that movie
you get arguably the best, villain, second best villain in Marvel.
I don't feel that way at all.
The Vulture was great.
He was good. I wouldn't say great.
Who's better than him?
I don't know. I thought Michael Keaton was phenomenal in that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he was bad. I mean, I'm saying in comparison to everybody else, he was good, not great.
There's really not a whole lot of options.
See, you know what's funny is I never understand this whole Marvel villain suck take. There are some that are bad. Like Ultron was a huge disappointment. Okay, right? He was a huge disappointment.
Supposed to be a really big villain.
Yes, he was. Thanos obviously is number one. No questions asked.
Sure.
Okay. Hela.
Not better than.
I liked Hela more than Michael Keaton. I liked Hela more than Michael Keaton.
I'll kill you dead.
It's good.
It's an unbelievable Michael Keaton line.
It's a great line.
I'll kill you dead.
But that's fine. I liked Hela more. I mean, the one line's not going to go and make a character that much better.
I think when you say I'll kill you dead, that goes just about as far as you need to go.
What about Winter Soldier was a villain? When he was as villain, he's probably my favorite.
He was a good villain, yeah.
Does a villain count though if you know they're going to make a hero turn?
Right, that's how I kind of feel about Loki.
That's why Loki too. I didn't know Loki was going to make a hero turn. I thought Loki was great.
Yeah, but he always had this thing with Thor. They were never really going to kill him off.
It's a complicated relationship.
That's what I mean.
Sure. But does that take away from Magneto ever being a villain?
Yeah, but he plays more of a villain in just one movie.
No, but I don't know if he's ever really a villain. Like they set it up pretty much from the first X-Men movie that he just has a different perspective.
Right.
Yeah. Like they made him a sympathetic character right from the very beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was in the revamp of it. I mean, when it was
the first X-Men movie, they're showing his childhood.
Yeah.
They're showing him growing up in the Holocaust.
That's true. They did make
which, by the way, wasn't his original storyline either.
Right, and he's not an anti-hero. I would say he's more like an anti-villain in a way because he does act more villainous than he does heroic. But either way, Killmonger, I would say, is on the same level as Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I won't argue that.
I think it's pretty close. And then I'm just looking at the rest of them that I have.
So there's about 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, I take him over Ghost. I take him over Yellow Jacket Yellow Jacket
easily.
Yellow Jacket sucks. By comparison,
Ronin.
Yep, Ronin wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What was the
Ego?
Ego, yeah, not really for me. The Guardians 2 was a pretty big letdown. Although
Whiplash.
Talk about Whiplash, Mandarin, and I forget the other guy's name who was like the real. Mandarin
I forget his name too. Yeah, Jeff Bridges' character.
No, Jeff Bridges was the first one, which he was not that great either. I mean, like Jeff until he became the Iron, like what he was doing, and the business side was good, but when he became whatever machine he was supposed to be, not so much. I'm talking about the guy who gave Pepper the powers. I wasn't a huge fan of him. So like Michael Keaton, I would say is on the good side of things, but to say
just anybody Sinister Six is not going to be a good villain anyway. Like they were always kind of weak villains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they needed to be paired together. I mean, I guess Dr. Octopus is a part of the Sinister Six, isn't he? I mean, I think he's a pretty great villain.
I thought that out of all the Marvel movies, I think that what was his name? The guy who portrayed him.
I couldn't tell you his name.
Doc Ock actor?
Yeah, I know the name of it. I can't think of it. But I thought his performance was very good. And, you kind of got that straight up evil.
Alfred Molina,
yep.
Yeah.
You got that straight up vibe from him.
Yeah.
And but I think the problem is they're putting in a lot of actors in those roles that don't know how to play villains either. So, I mean, Keaton, you think Keaton's great because he's a great actor. Like he can play
and he kind of play that jerk, like that kind of like blue collar jerk.
Which he wasn't trying to be an evil genius mastermind. Mm-hmm. He was just a guy that was in this position that could utilize that position to help himself out.
I'll give him that he took a character that I couldn't give a damn about and made him good.
Right.
I will say that, in fairness.
Well, and kind of segue back into Far From Home. I mean, I think Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio does a great job. he's again, you kind of know if you read the comic books or watched the TV shows, you kind of know Mysterio's storyline. He was, a failed, special effects guy on the movie. Mm-hmm. Not exactly the case in Far From Home.
No, a little bit smarter than that.
But wanted to be, the hero, the good guy who makes all these illusions, but he ultimately wants to squeeze out Peter Parker in the comic books, not Tony Stark in the Avengers.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a change here.
But I like that change. It works.
Yeah, and again, he is relatable. You see his motivations pretty clearly. They outlined it again. Once again, that ties it all back into the ego of Tony Stark and how he's responsible for all the villains in this movie, which is, to harp back on a previous conversation, why he is the most important character in the MCU. Mm-hmm. And again, everyone around him, his whole team of visual effects and, all his crew pretty much have all been scorned by Tony Stark in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you also see that, Quentin Beck doesn't want to hurt Spider-Man. He just wants him out of the equation so he can carry out his job.
Right.
And that's just collateral damage, is his, them butting heads.
Yeah, he made it very clear that he did not want to have to hurt Peter, but he ended up that he kind of had to.
And you kind of root, I think you kind of root for him. I think they spend a little bit too much time on him being the good guy, coming from Earth 833 and trying to, giving you all those little moments.
Yeah, see, I don't think so, because they really had me thinking, like, he might actually, like, I know.
But you didn't really think that, though, did you?
I did for a little bit. I was like, are they really going to make him a good guy? Or he's got to be the villain, right? There's no way they're going to, like, when they did it, when they finally made the turn, like when he gave him the glasses, I was like, okay, he's definitely going to go and turn here. Mm-hmm. But up until that point, Wes, I was thinking there's a shot that he's not going to turn into a bad guy here, and I don't know how I feel about that. And that's when he finally flipped it, I was like, okay, now this movie's good. Now, like, they had me believing it was going to be something else. So,
okay.
Call me stupid, call me my naive wishful thinking, whatever, but...
Yeah, I think he immediately jumps up in my top 5 power rankings for villains, MCU villains.
He's up there for sure.
Because I know he doesn't really do anything, but it's the illusions, like, throwing all the smoke screens and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to figure out, like, what his powers were, like, during the middle of it. You know?
Just nothing.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Because he kind of has, like, the Doctor Strange thing going on with, like, the triangles and, like, the smoke and...
Absolutely. So then that also ruins the whole Earth 616 thing, too. I totally overlooked that in the course. I remember
but it's a little bit of a fan service thing, right? So they mention it. So they said maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah.
If that's so believable, easily accepted.
But then that kind of ruins, if it's not actually there, like if that's totally fabricated, then that probably hurts the chances of there being the X-Men coming into the fray, like from Earth 616.
Right.
It's probably going to be more likely that the gamma radiation created the X-Men.
Sure.
So
right. That's also interesting there.
Yeah. So
other things I like, Tom Holland still remains to be my favorite Spider-Man. Although I like the jobs of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I think he just plays it perfectly as being passable as a 16-year-old. He gets that nervous, kind of awkward stage thing down really well.
He does He is the best at playing both sides, Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I liked Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man more than I
think you're in the minority on that one.
No, not more than
Tobey Maguire?
Than Tobey Maguire. I like his Spider-Man more, but Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker was better than Andrew Garfield. He was way too cocky in that role, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But when
the basketball scene.
Yeah. I mean, come on. So, but when it came to Tom Holland, I felt right away he's good at both. I don't know if he's better than either one, though, at the other positions. You know what I mean? I felt like he was number 2 in both instances.
Oh, so you're taking like aggregate score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now...
I disagree. But I can see that.
After this one, 100% best Spider-Man. Like,
unbelievable.
I mean, this was great, a great movie.
It's still hanging on me that you weren't crazy about Homecoming.
Yeah, I
don't know what's not to like. Yeah, no, that's I just can't shake it.
It just didn't do much for me. I don't know. It just, you know what? The other thing that really bothered me about Homecoming, I hated their Flash Thompson. Hated him.
Oh, see, I think this is building up perfectly to introduce Agent Venom.
Yeah, I mean, sure, that's fine. But
even at the end of the movie, where they show everyone coming back from the airport, and he's like, "Where's Mom? Mom couldn't couldn't come and pick me up. They had to send a driver."
Yeah,
it's like I feel like he's just going to go off and join the army.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
No one cares about him. You know, like
that's a good point, actually. That is a good point.
And
but,
they are really harping on the fact of how obsessed Flash Thompson is with Spider-Man.
But he's just such a softie, man. Like
he could be, but he's a kid. Like maybe that's who he's supposed to play.
Dude, my Flash Thompson will forever be Joe Manganiello. Like that's Flash Thompson.
Yeah, but he was also like 35.
Right. Well, I understand that, but the point is that he's supposed to be a friggin' moose. Like he's supposed to be a linebacker, center for the basketball team.
Right.
3-hitter on the baseball team. That's what he is. Or maybe he plays lacrosse. I don't care. Like that's not what this guy is. I mean,
right.
Who's going to be intimidated by this guy? Listen, everybody, sticks and stones. Seriously, like it's not like words are never going to hurt you. That's why I just don't get it.
But that could be a very cool origin movie. He goes to the army. He pays his lumps. He's humbled by the army, going through basic training and all that stuff.
Maybe.
And then he takes some sort of serum or whatever the case is to become Agent Venom.
So he's going to be basically the Captain America movie, but redone in a better way.
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
I could be. Yeah, but Steve Rogers didn't have to be humbled. Like, no, he was humbled already.
He had to prove himself.
Yeah.
Time and again that he was,
Other things I liked, this Mysterio illusion scene was probably the peak. The whole scene where Spider-Man gets lost in the illusions, and you have the dead Tony Stark coming up from the ground. And
that was very impressive.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was crazy.
That's where I wanted to see it in 3D.
Totally threw me off when. Now I can understand. I was a little confused, like why you had that strong of a take on it. But when it turned out that wasn't the real Nick Fury too, I was like, wait a second, what? That wasn't
right.
even real. Like what?
Yeah. What do you think? Like what's real and what's not? So I think that's when I really kind of grasped Mysterio's powers to and how they utilized it. Because before, when he's just like throwing beams at a elemental or anything, which ended up proving to be a complete waste of time.
Complete waste.
And it's like, how much death and destruction do you have to? Like he tore up 3 or 4 cities.
Yep.
Just so he could get a few clicks.
These people were so dumb. Like the people working for him. Like how could you not see someone who has a plan like this is gonna go and turn on you like that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I also don't think how powerful were they? He has once he gets. We'll get into this a little bit later. Once he gets the Edith glasses, I mean,
yeah,
there's really nothing they could do.
For people who claim to be so smart, why are you getting involved with a guy like this in the first place?
With revenge.
I guess revenge.
They were wronged. Yeah. Other things like Peter Tingles. Nod to Peter, who's 16.
Yes. Going
through puberty because they didn't really touch on the sixth sense, the spider sense.
Yeah, I was waiting for it the whole time.
Yeah,
so I
love that. That was good stuff. The final fight scene with Mysterio on the bridge, and all the different ways he uses the webs and the fighting scenes. Finally trusting his spider sense to know Mysterio projected the illusions and to avoid the final gunshot there. I love that.
I will say with the webs, this was the first, part of what bothers me with Spider-Man, and this was, as much as Andrew Garfield played the role well, I don't like it when Spider-Man his webs are tech. I'm not a fan of that.
I know I think you're also in the minority on that.
I'm starting to find out I may be in the minority when it comes to that, which I'm stunned by. But in this movie, I know he had a moment where his webs weren't working, but by and large, when it was working, I was like, I don't even know that it's tech. I feel like this is just coming straight out of him, and I loved that.
Yeah, but I think it also again shows a little bit of who you are as a human. It grounds him a little bit more.
Yeah, no,
he's just shooting webs out of his wrists.
I get that. But I don't know. You know what? Maybe it's because Spider-Man never really resonated with me on a personal level. Okay, maybe that's why I never cared about that.
Yeah, that could be. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, because you love him.
One of my favorites.
Is Iron Man your favorite right now?
As a kid, it was like Wolverine, Spider-Man neck and neck.
I always forget. I'm sorry.
Iron Man is my favorite
MCU
character.
That's what it is. Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Genius.
Yeah.
It's
a pretty good hedgestone to have.
That's what. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was Iron Man. Okay. All right. We're good. All right. Awesome. I'll forget in another week.
Yeah. A couple. Peter regaining confidence, getting help from Happy. Happy's whole little thing going on with Marissa Tomei and Aunt May, who is very attractive for a mid-50s woman.
Oh, yeah. For damn sure.
He creates his own suit. Happy gets that nostalgic look in his eye and the jet, and everyone's kind of reminded, this could be the next Tony Stark.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And my biggest thing with Spider-Man in this one was there were times where his doubt, pissed me off, but not to the point where like with the Flash Thompson, the new Flash Thompson. I don't know the actor's name, but him being a bully. Okay, him being a bully, I don't buy that. I understand that's like today's bully, but I don't buy that as being someone who has power among kids. With Spider-Man and his like doubt and everything, I was like, God, dude, you're Spider-Man. Like, stop with all these issues. Like, what is going on? But it's like, I believe what he's going through right now.
Yeah.
It's so realistic, and that is where he completely won me over as the 100%, no doubt in my mind, this is Spider-Man. No
yeah,
questions.
but even though he went to space, like it wasn't supposed to, like it just kind of lucked into that.
Yeah,
he almost died. Like, I don't know what you're thinking when you get blipped, which they also do a great job of explaining in this, by the way.
Very
nice
true.
Scene. Nice, neat and tidy new high school news broadcast.
Yeah.
That's very like weird, and you got these awkward pauses and everything, and you got Whitney Houston's. And I'll always love you.
Yes.
Playing in the background. So.
They did do a good job with that. I agree. But like when I'm talking about believing him as Spider-Man, he like Civil War, like he was good. I had no issues there. In Infinity War, Endgame, no issues with it. I'm talking about his solo stuff, because that's really where we get a sense of who he is as the character. I think it's a little bit easier to just come in and shoot some webs when you have a secondary role. I mean, not even in the other movies.
Just a guest spot, really.
Mm-hmm.
And last thing I liked, the Spidey suit, and then when he makes his own the Shield Spidey suit, I thought was kind of cool. It was a nice little nod to Spider-Man Noir. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the one he makes with the webbing underneath his arms, which is the combination of the two suits, the black and the red. Mm-hmm. I love that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did a good job with it.
Let's talk about the Edith glasses.
Okay.
What did you think of them? Because remember, this was in a segment in their news and notes portion of an episode, or the previous episode that we had, where that Tony Stark was going to give him something.
Oh, you said that was going to happen.
Yeah, and we were saying like maybe they give him access to his lair or something like that.
You're right. Yes,
a new suit.
You brought this up. Did you know that was going to happen from seeing spoilers, or were you guessing?
No, I think that was from a Geeks Worldwide story, actually.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Okay, I had I mean, I will say I like that it wasn't Tony's voice. I think that would have been a little bit too much, a little too on the nose, if you will. And
I will.
But by and large, I thought they did a good job of incorporating humor with it. I appreciate him getting rid of that picture that rat bastard took of him.
Right. Yeah.
That kid pissed me off. Brad. Oh.
Yes.
Have you ever met a Brad that you like?
No, Brad and Chad's. It's a very bro-y name.
Yeah. You get out of my face with that. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine. I guess I didn't feel too strongly either way about it. But
can you tell me what Edith stands for?
Even when I'm dead, I'm still the hero.
Close enough. Yeah. Even dead, I'm the hero.
I'm the hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it. Just there's no S in Edith. Unless you have a lisp.
I thought it was
Yeah. But I think so. I think it also just proves that Tony Stark is like bar none the greatest, genius mind there is on the planet Earth. Like, how do you have a satellite that big that's not detected by like NSA or CIA or the government or any sorts of like Russian governments, Chinese governments or anything like that, that's just housing all of these like armed to the gills drones?
This is true. So you think he's smarter than Shuri? Because I believe she's been dubbed the smartest.
I think that's just people saying that. Show it to me.
Yeah, Shuri's. Well, I mean, her getting that Infinity, almost getting the Infinity Stone.
Yeah, but show me. Like, I have 12 years worth of evidence to say that Iron Man is the leading science mind in the MCU.
Yeah,
I can't say the same for Shuri.
That's fair. It's totally fair.
Yeah,
I mean, she also was raised in a more advanced technologically advanced society too. But yeah, I mean,
This gives him, unlimited access to a super satellite with super drones, limited information. He can read text messages that are sent. Pretty much any of your internet footprint. He can track you down. Unpaid parking tickets, all that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yes,
and he just gives them to Quentin Beck. Like, that was like one of my issues. We get into things that we didn't like here a little bit.
That is, that is actually a really good point. I didn't think of that.
Just gives it off because, again, like, this is like there's a definite lull in this movie.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't a huge fan of, and right around the midway point, I would say, and he gives he doesn't want to be Spider-Man, which I understand. 16-year-old kid, you just want to live your life. You want to get the girl of your dreams. You want to hang with your friends. Yeah, I get that. But you're also Spider-Man. You've been given this incredible gift. And as we all know, with great power
comes great responsibility.
You got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Regular Ben Parker over there. But you know, you're just so willing to give it up and like this huge gift to him. And he's like, "No, you be it. I don't want to do it."
How do you not give that to Nick Fury if you're going to give it away? Like, I understand he's a little much, but
Nick Fury is very weird in his own right now.
Yeah, he is very weird in his own right now, for sure. That I did not
little off the rocker.
Did not expect that at all at the end. That was very weird. Still prefer the mid-credit scene. I thought that was a little bit more bananas, but actually, I don't know which one's more bananas. Either way, beside the point.
Yeah, and I think, I like that the movie was grounded and self-contained.
I always love that.
Didn't have too much consequence on the rest of the MCU until we get to, the mid and end credit scenes.
Which I appreciate, yeah.
But after the last two Avengers movies, I have a tough time accepting the fact that there are no other heroes available to help. And I know he goes through the list, right? He says Thor... He says Captain America or Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Right, and maybe someone else. I forget who, but I thought he lists off a couple names.
Yeah, he did.
But he didn't mention Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Doctor Strange was the other one that he mentioned. So he didn't mention Black Panther, Falcon, which they already have some sort of a rapport, going back to Civil War, and they were fighting, but they were kind of talking trash back and forth. The Incredible Hulk, Professor Hulk, even if he's got one arm, Mm-hmm. Scarlet Witch, Ant-Man. Ant-Man would be a terrific team up.
Would be.
They don't even necessarily have to show up, but maybe he goes and gets guidance, or maybe they come up and say, "Hey, this is popping up on our radar. What's going on?" It's hard for me to believe that they're just completely in their own world.
Well, maybe my thing would be that by listing off a few of the characters, he's illustrating. These guys got something going on right now. They can't help, which implies that the other characters have things going on too. Because you look at,
I guess so.
But in the comics, they're not all team ups. Like these other.
I know it's not all team ups, but again, we're establishing that this has direct ramifications, a ripple effect, if you will, on the rest of the MCU in some way, shape, or form. Is that as these chapters happen, and then when you have cities like Venice, London. Where was another? Was there another in Prague? Mm-hmm. All getting devastated and leveled by these things. Like they're so busy dealing with other stuff that's going on that they, can't handle major metropolises coming down at the hands of a supervillain.
Maybe they are. I mean, like we don't hear every story of the characters that are going on. Like we still haven't heard about Budapest, right?
Right.
So I mean, things like that happen.
But that was long before, that's going back before the Avengers were even created, Budapest.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that what happens with some of these characters through the years, I mean, like Winter Soldier has killed multiple characters through the years. Right. I mean, that happened all, outside of what we've seen. So I'm just saying some of the stuff, they do have stuff going on. Just because we're not watching doesn't mean there isn't stuff happening necessarily.
Yeah, I know. I just have a tough time accepting it.
They have Beck there. They have Spider-Man. On the surface, you look at what Beck, supposedly can do.
Right.
You should be fine. You shouldn't need more than those two guys.
Yeah, but maybe at the end you get someone call in. I was expecting the call to Holland. I wasn't sure, from Holland or the Netherlands or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was not really surprised that it was Happy, but a part of me was kind of hoping that it would have been another hero that he calls.
That's fair. I mean, I wouldn't have hated it if they did it. I just don't think I'm not always so big on you need to have team ups all the time. I like it, and I know Deadpool is one of the movies that I cite a lot in Logan as my favorite superhero movies.
Right.
And I know there are team ups in there, but those characters are really. It's X-23. As much as she steals the show, she is really a secondary character. So
right. Yeah.
It's focused on this one, and then they are
Yeah, but again, those are more one-offs or in its own world.
But like you said, this one is kind of in its own world.
But it's in the MCU.
It is, but in a way, it's in its own world too.
Yeah, but
Ant-Man, the original.
But literally, Deadpool is in its own world, and Logan is literally in its own world. It's not exactly a continuation from X-Men or anything like that.
Well, Deadpool
not
2,
really.
Deadpool 2, we do see the current X-Men at one point.
Yeah, well, You could say current, but I'm not sure if that's even the correct term to apply to them.
Not anymore. But he's the only one that's gonna cross over. It looks like too.
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds. That's gonna be so weird. I can't wait to see what they do with that.
Yeah. And
anyways,
I think I was disappointed by Martin Starr and JB Smoove. I didn't think they were really that funny. I love those guys as individuals. JB Smoove is hilarious.
What is Martin Starr from?
He's in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
He was also in Knocked Up. Is one of the really high friends who grows the beard out.
Okay.
For the year, they couldn't shave for a year with that was a bet you made with Jason Segel's character. Mm-hmm. He was also in Freaks and Geeks. He was the lead sidekick friend in Freaks and Geeks.
That's why I don't know any of these things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't enjoy, just keep watching according to Jim. God forbid, in Castlevania, God forbid you branch out and just consume some popular content here.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Still don't watch Stranger Things either.
Right. Yeah. So, but there really wasn't like a whole lot of humor in this movie, too.
Not a lot.
You get your punchy, typical MCU type of banter. But it's not really like laugh out loud funny moments.
Peter Parker and Happy had some funny ones. I mean, the whole thing with Aunt May is good.
Right.
That was funny.
The Peter Tingles thing, that's funny.
Well, I mean, like just the relationship. Like, are you guys dating or not?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
That was funny. I thought.
Like you said, Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
High slugging percentage in this movie.
MJ, her and Peter back and forth was, I thought, pretty funny.
It was interesting.
Yeah. There was moments where it was funny, I would say.
Was not a fan of Ned overall. Even the Ned love interest, and I'm like, I kind of get the feeling that Ned is, ate his last paycheck from Spider-Man Homecoming. He just blew up like a tick on me.
It was, like, he doesn't do much for me. He didn't do much for me in the first place either. It was whatever.
Yeah, like I'm not sure how much more of a run that he has in this. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me.
Doesn't bring much to the table.
Lastly here, so it's nothing that speaks the Sinister Six into existence. Yeah, none of that. Mm-hmm. I was expecting some sort of a mid-credit scene, paying off who bought the Stark Tower, which we were told in the Spider-Man Homecoming that was happening.
Yeah.
You okay there?
No, I was just fixing my hair was caught.
Yeah, there we go.
It was just, I find it funny because we're so different in this way. I love where they're self-contained. Like I know you say how it's good in a way, but you also always want it to mean something.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily care about that.
Yeah.
Like,
I want. We've been told that all these movies matter and they bleed into one another. Well, that's the expectation that they've built upon us.
But when we saw, like, there could be stuff that means something when it comes down to it. I mean, we saw a couple things at the end that meant something. Yeah. I would say when you look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, up until was it the mid-credit scene where they get dusted?
Right.
Up until that happens, I mean, yeah, I guess you get the quantum realm traveling, but even then at that point,
which is huge.
It was huge, but it wasn't played off like it was huge. It seemed like it was just a standalone movie that didn't mean anything.
Right, but I thought it was pretty easy to tell because this was 2 movies before Endgame, I believe, right? I think that was it.
I think you're
Captain
right.
Marvel and then that.
I think you're right.
And there was a long layout before it, but I feel like even the speculation leading up to it was that Quantum Realm was going to play a huge role.
That's fair. Yeah, you're right. I guess, but when I watched it, I just wasn't thinking like, oh, this has to do with that later on. Like, it just felt like it was all within itself.
Right.
And then afterwards, it hit me.
But I would also say Spider-Man plays a bigger role in the overall arc of the MCU and where it's going to go than Ant-Man does.
He should. He absolutely should.
He's a heavier hitter.
But the other thing is, I wonder if Marvel's hesitant about how they handle it because of the whole Sony thing.
And that's what I'm interested, because like you kind of see it at the end, the teaser credits in Homecoming, where the Scorpion and the Vulture kind of meet up in prison, and you're wondering if that's gonna pay out at all. Mm-hmm. And then the Oscorp thing would have been such an easy fix. You don't have to say a whole lot. You just pan up to the old Stark Towers and you see a new name on there.
Yeah.
Oscorp.
But they've done what they've done so well, Wes, is that now they've made it where we have stuff later on. We can try and integrate these characters, and then all at once we can get after it together with the Sinister Six.
Right.
It's in some ways maybe yes, it's pissing you off now, but maybe
it's not. It's a nitpick. It's just something I would have liked to see.
Well, maybe not, but maybe they don't want to be too on the nose with it.
It could be.
I know we overuse that sometimes.
I understand I like the idea of them bringing in a fresh villain, a fresh character that wasn't recycled from one of the other two movies. Obviously, that was the case with Oscorp and Norman Osborn and who's the younger brother that I'm thinking, the son that I'm thinking of?
Oh, Harry.
Harry, thank you.
That guy was nuts. And
the Amazing Spider-Man, yeah. Oh. But, so you've already seen those two different iterations of it. So I respect the move of trying to bring in some fresh blood.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other critiques you want to get in here?
I didn't really have many other ones. I thought you had another one that MJ figuring out that Peter Parker is Spidey. You didn't.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't like that?
No, I just had that as like things like I wanted to touch on actually, so I forgot that there. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Yep, I skipped ahead. I apologize.
I forgot that as it was. But yeah, so I thought that's obviously a big scene. She obviously plays a big role in helping Peter find out who Quentin Beck's and Mysterio's intentions are. Mm-hmm. But again, he's trying to convey his love to her. She's obviously interested. You kind of see that early on with these longing glares and these kind of awkward pauses and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they kiss, and it's like a very high school kiss too at the very end. It's like a peck, and then a smooch.
Yes, it was good. That was actually a very little touch, but a very nice touch. I don't know where you have in your notes. I'm trying to find it, but we haven't talked about the mid credits or the end credits scene yet.
Oh no, I had it right up at the top.
Is it up at the top? Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. So we got here now. So this is the part where Tim. I hope you're not listening.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
Okay,
good. All right, we're good.
We got that.
So, because Tim has not seen it yet, so we really didn't want to ruin this part, because if you haven't seen the credits, then...
This is arguably, where it ties into the MCU, probably the most important scenes, which is frustrating.
J. Jonah Jameson is back, and not only is he back, it's friggin' J.K. Simmons.
Yes, it is.
Such a great move, and I love that it's the dailybugle.net, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Such a nice touch. Oh, man.
Yeah, and he's doing an obvious Alex Jones impersonation, which is, again, speaking to the fake news element of this movie. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the footage is revealing that it was Spider-Man and not Mysterio. And this footage was really altered. He sent the drones on the world and everything like that, and then reveals Spider-Man's true identity.
Crazy, man.
Which I was told that is supposed to kind of dovetail into Tony Stark and how he's similar but different from Tony Stark, where Tony embraced it and didn't care about it, and he was able to kind of control the narrative.
Yes.
Now this is happening to Spider-Man, where it's happening to him, where he doesn't necessarily want to have that.
Yeah, I can't imagine as a 16. Look, he's brilliant, but as a 16-year-old kid, Spider-Man is very. I don't want to say book smart, but I guess that's kind of what it is. He is very book smart.
Yeah.
When it comes to the social stuff, it's difficult. You see how he handles the whole thing with Mary Jane. There are just some things you just need life experience, and I would say is one of them. Even then, what life experience is going to prepare you for this?
Right.
But it's so strange. I would be a nervous wreck like he is right now. How the hell are you going to get out of this?
Well, yeah, and you kind of see that in the beginning, too, with Aunt May at the homeless, displaced fundraiser, and he doesn't really know how to talk to reporters or talk to the crowd and the microphone, even when he's behind the Spider-Man mask. So
painful.
So it's definitely, that's not something he embraces.
I love that they brought back J.K. Simmons. Thank you, because as much as we talk about great castings, it's perfect. I like Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, but I know the criticism of him being 30 years old as a high school student. I get it. J. Jonah Jameson and J.K. Simmons,
it's timeless.
It's one and the same. It's honestly it's up there with Tony Stark casting.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, how'd you feel about the end credit scene with the?
I had to pee so bad, and I knew there was an end credit scene.
Oh no!
So I stuck around to it, but I was kind of pissed by the end of it, because I'm watching these credits, and then there's a long end, and then it's and now let's list all the soundtrack credits, and then it kind of comes, So I'm like, come on, let's. And I'm doing the pee dance in the back of the theater and everything. Mm-hmm. But so essentially, what happens? Maria Hill, Nick Fury reveal themselves to be Skrulls, with Talos being Nick Fury, which
explains quite a bit.
Because he was off, right?
Yeah, how he got
noticeably
duped.
off.
Yeah.
Well, he gets duped. Yeah, he's just not aware of things. There's a specific line when Peter Parker brings up, "What about Captain Marvel?" And Fury replies, "Do not invoke her name." Like that's like an odd thing to say.
That is a
like,
good point.
It's not like something like that Nick Fury would say.
I haven't even looked back.
And even Maria Hill was very cold and like nonchalant when Peter leaves, and he's like, "I can't be a part of this mission."
Yeah, I was just figuring.
And she was
upset.
just like, "Get out of here." Yeah, but you know, she's like, I feel like she's a little bit more compassionate than that.
Yeah. We didn't see her afterwards either.
And they don't like, you know, Nick Fury. I know he's not a compassionate guy, but I feel like this version of with Samuel L. Jackson is a little bit more patient. And that wasn't the case with you know, this version with Peter.
Right. Yeah, it was a very. I don't understand why he's taking a break. Like, what's
So apparently what happens is they switch places. Fury was out in space with the rest of the Skrull Nation.
Yeah,
they're getting ready to return home. And Talos was assuming Nick Fury. So this brings up a question: is now where are the Skrulls, you know, throughout the MCU this whole time? The director John Watts of Spider-Man: Far From Home recently came out. He said to clarify the timeline, that's really Nick Fury at Tony's funeral and at the end of Endgame. It's not like he's been a Skrull since Captain Marvel or forever.
Right.
So he kind of nips that in the bud right away.
I didn't even think that was possible. I would hate that if they did that.
It just opens the door now, right? Because like, was it really this the whole time? But so my big question, I thought the Skrulls were bad.
I think in the comics there's a mix.
Okay.
But I do think in general they have bad intentions. But yeah, I mean, dude, they take liberties
because well, I'm just wondering how this is going to work if they're doing like a Secret Wars type of thing.
Oh, because the Skrulls are a big part of Secret Wars, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And this seems like what they want to introduce, or at least lay the groundwork for. And I wonder, you know, they've really only been portrayed as good guys outside of the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of Captain Marvel, right?
I mean, they could end up saying, you know, the cop out, there are some good ones, and then there are some of us that aren't so good. That really do deserve to be looked at.
Because even then, because Ronan was a Kree, right?
Yes. Kree are bad.
Yeah, okay.
Kree are always bad.
And it was Kree and Skrulls in Captain Marvel.
Correct. Yes.
But Captain Marvel was a Kree.
She was with the Kree, but she did not know they were bad because she was given misinformation because she was led to believe the Skrulls were the evil ones.
So again, this is kind of where my comic book history kind of dwindles.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, this is stuff that I don't necessarily know either. Cosmic is not my area of expertise.
Right,
I'm not
right.
It just doesn't resonate with me. So yeah.
Yeah, so those were the two big ones.
Oh, they were. I mean, I like that a lot. Where we just let the movie do its thing, and then at the end, now we're gonna bring in like, oh, this is what was important for the sake of all of the MCU to an extent.
Yeah, and it's cool, but it does kind of suck where like the two most memorable scenes happen after the movie, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah, that's what everyone's kind of been talking about. I feel like
to some extent, but I mean, I don't know. It didn't. That doesn't really bother me a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't think of too is, the Vulture's knowledge of who Peter Parker or who Spider-Man really is, kind of goes out the door now because the Scorpion's going to hear.
Right. Yeah. I wonder how that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I get the feeling
maybe that was done because Michael Keaton priced himself out of the MCU as a 1/6 of a supervillain team.
I know in the Civil War comic, Spider-Man reveals himself. I do wonder. I don't know. I haven't read a ton of old Spider-Man comics. I wonder if something like this happened, and he's going to go and try and prove that he's not Spider-Man by having Spider-Man show up.
Yeah, I wonder how he tries to get out of this.
I think Daredevil had to do that at one point, where people found out he was Matt Murdock. Because I know, what's the lead main female character's name in?
You're asking the wrong
Daredevil.
guy here.
I can't remember her name. Oh my god, it's killing me. But she,
Karen Page.
Karen Page.
Oh man, look at that.
When she reveals to Wilson Fisk that he's Daredevil, that happens in the comics too, and I think somehow like Wilson Fisk gets it out publicly. Someone does.
Yeah.
And then he has to prove that he's not Daredevil. Obviously he is, but he has to do something to show that's not the case. I forget who it is that helps out with that situation.
Well, I'll be eager to see how he gets himself out of this pickle here.
Yeah. Yes. That should be the next movie. It's the only option they really have at this point.
Any other villains you'd like to see introduced here?
I mean, I always want to see Venom or Carnage mixed in, but I don't know how you can necessarily handle that at this point. With Spider-Man, the one that everybody keeps calling for is Kraven, which
would be a terrific crossover opportunity with Black Panther.
Oh, that would be. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Outside of that, Scorpion's good.
Yeah.
Bring him in. You start getting Norman Osborn mixed in, and he became Iron Patriot too, so that would be kind of cool to see him in that role.
He crosses over into outside of the Spider-Verse.
He's brutal, man. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. So some of those. What about you? Okay. Anybody in particular?
Yeah, Kraven was at the top of my list. I like to see Black Cat. So you get a little female spider villain action in there.
That'd be good.
I'm trying to think of anyone else there that I could think of. I'll pass on the Sandman. We kind of already got Hydro Man in a sense with the elementals.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Maybe a properly done Lizard, Dr. Connors.
Yep. Although that fight scene was really, really good.
It was cool.
I like that movie. Yeah. It looked a little weird.
Yeah, it was just a little wonky. Yeah.
By the way, we got to get Tim's attention.
Yeah, Dr. Octopus, I would love to see redone again and introduced.
Yeah, even then that was well played. By the way, Tim, what the hell were you listening to? Because it sounded like some tribal music.
It was Indian chant music.
Oh,
nice.
It was something that I knew could get loud enough and would cover up anything else right here.
Tim, we were just talking about Spider-Man villains that we'd like to see before we get into the 3v3. Is there anybody in particular that you would want to see them integrate?
I'd like to see, obviously, because I'm a big Secret Wars fan myself, I'd like to see the real Venom.
Okay.
And have that play out the way that it's supposed to play out.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of any other villains that they need to cover, not really.
We had mentioned Kraven the Hunter.
I was thinking Kraven is a possibility, but I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Yeah.
It always felt out of place with Spider-Man being the person,
city
his foil.
slicker. Yeah. It's a tough one, right?
It is.
I'd like to see another iteration of Doc Ock, although I thought that was well done the first time. Dr. Connors was another one I mentioned.
I was always a Hobgoblin fan as a kid.
Yeah.
But Green Goblin.
You need one with the other.
Yeah.
Right?
So they teased Dr. Connors in what was it, Spider-Man 3?
And in The Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Man, yeah.
Okay.
He was the original villain in The Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield version.
But I think that for the most part, I'd really like to see more of Spider-Man working with other heroes too.
Right.
Because how many more stories are you going to give me where, like you guys were saying before, where he's going through the teen angst and all that kind of stuff? Put him up against a Kingpin.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
But not on his own.
Too.
Right. Yeah.
Put him up against
with Daredevil.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a good way to bring in Daredevil.
Although I just saw today Kevin Feige was saying when asked, because they're going to be doing San Diego Comic-Con, so there's a whole lot of stuff that's leading up for that. I think this is coming towards the end of the month here. But at any rate, he was asked about using any of the Defenders in the MCU, and he said, well, there's contractual agreements, and pretty much said, in so many words, no. But he said we have to wait so long before their contracts are up, even though they've already been canceled, so you can't necessarily use the properties.
So not yet is more what he said.
I think he would have a difficult time of integrating them.
I don't know if I believe any of that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because
they've done it. It hasn't happened so far.
How do you not have Daredevil, man? He's such a
Daredevil would work, but again,
Luke Cage
as everything's moving towards space, Spider-Man would be the opportunity to get him involved.
But these things were started at a time when they already had the MCU in place.
Right.
So why would they not put language in the contracts that would allow them to, say, upon cancellation of the series, to be able to utilize those properties in any way? The minute that series is over, the rights revert back to...
Right.
It would only make sense.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
I don't question a lot of what Kevin Feige does, but if they go too far with this space cosmic thing, people are going to start falling off. I won't, but that's
I also think you have to run into superhero fatigue. And we need to know what we're building towards in Phase 4. Much like we knew that there was going to be Avengers Endgame, Thanos, Infinity War. We knew that was going to be happening to some degree. Not how. We knew the what.
Yeah,
and everything kind of built up towards that. Now we're just kind of left out in open water waiting to find the shore.
You need to drop that in the first, at least the first end credits of the first movie of the next phase.
Yeah, exactly.
The prospect of having the X-Men definitely helps out.
Sure.
I think it does.
I still think the Fantastic Four is an interesting weave-in. If you can, not on their own, but if
you're going
you can
cosmic,
weave
you
in
need
them.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're I mean, if Kevin Feige can't do it right, no one can do it right.
Yeah,
I'll say
true.
that for sure.
Well, no one has been able to do it right. So
no,
that's
because I also think just because they suck, but that's just me.
yeah. Well, I think I'm the minority in that thought.
I don't think they suck. Yeah, I think so. I think a lot more of the people who are in your camp are generally older too.
Yeah,
because people our age now only know
the crappy versions.
Yeah,
of
the
them.
2 crappy versions. But anyways, anything else on that before we go to our 3v3?
No,
week?
let's do it. Let's
All
get
right.
there.
So this week, Tim, I don't know if you're privy. If I gave you a heads up on who we got this week, but
You did.
Oh, I did. Okay.
I saved my comments for the show.
Okay, nice. So we have Mario, Xena, Princess Warrior,
Warrior Princess.
Excuse me, and Darth Maul going against She-Hulk, Harley Quinn, and Knuckles of Sonic the Hedgehog fame, and obviously Mario of Nintendo fame. Wes, would you like to go first, or Tim?
Let's go with Tim. We haven't heard Tim's voice as much today.
So that for me was a no-brainer. I mean, Team A all the way.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't even think it was that fair of a matchup.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why is that?
Well, just because first of all, Mario's got everything going for him.
Wait, now does he have the spit and fire? Does he have like the access to all that stuff?
I'm assuming that he has. So generally, the way Mario's been portrayed is, he has to, even in cartoon versions, he has to get the certain power-ups to get those powers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm assuming that if Mario's in the mix, those power-ups would have to be in the mix too. Doesn't mean he'd have those powers indefinitely.
Right.
But he would have to be able to kind of get those power-ups. Even if not, even if all he's doing is stomping on other people, I think I'm looking at how you match up one from a certain genre with another from a certain genre, and figuring out how they would fight those battles individually, and he's got it all over Knuckles. I mean,
you think so?
You can't catch up to Knuckles, though.
I don't know, man. Mario's pretty wily.
Sure.
I'd give him the
Bugs Bunny-esque.
Certainly give him the intelligence advantage there.
I do at the end. I'm curious where you guys rank each character 1 through 6, because that's always the most difficult part for me is
trying to match 1 and 6, 2 and 3.
Because and then at the end of it, it's like, okay, which one? I got to pick one that I think would win, but I don't want it to be so obvious for me. It's definitely tough when that element's a little difficult. But what do you got?
So my first thought was that the first group is all alphas.
This is true.
They're all leaders. The second group, for the most part, are sidekicks.
I think that's fair.
She-Hulk, it kind of goes off on her own, but it's
well, so does Harley Quinn too.
Is Darth Maul a leader?
No,
he was a leader of the Sith.
He was an apprentice.
Yeah, but then he goes off the rails after he dies and really doesn't die. I mean, and it's canon now that he didn't die because of the Han Solo movie. And
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Oh, jeez. Well,
oh wow, that's a big spoiler.
That's a big spoiler.
Well, I just heard so many bad things, I didn't bother with it.
Really? You heard a lot of bad?
I heard a lot of bad things about it.
I think it's a solid B-.
It was a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
I enjoyed it.
I think going into it, I thought it was going to suck, and that probably helped a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the end alone, the end credit or whatever that was that reveals what I just said is pretty friggin' amazing. But anyways, I wouldn't say he's a leader of the Sith, but he does become a leader, I guess.
He's more of a leader than She-Hulk, Harley Quinn, or Knuckles. Harley Quinn only gets introduced to, because she's the Joker's girlfriend.
Right, but, I mean, she ends up branching off on her own for sure, and so does She-Hulk.
But the one thing that I have going for Group 2 is having She-Hulk be my lawyer after what would undoubtedly be like a fiery, ruthless bloodbath. That'd be a nice option to be able to have her really, protect me in the court of law.
So at the end of this, I still have no idea where you're going with it. Like, who you taking?
That's a tough one. I'm going with the first 3 just because I think I could get away with it. Maybe Xena takes out Harley Quinn pretty easily. I don't think that's much of a conversation there. Darth Maul has the lightsaber to kind of keep She-Hulk at bay, and Mario is Mario.
See, I think that She-Hulk is so overpowering in the course of all this that there's no way she can lose, and that's why I put her with Harley Quinn, who I would say, in terms of powers and everything like this,
she really doesn't have any powers.
Right. I think she, like, in terms of strength and all that stuff, I think she's number 6 on my list here.
Yeah.
And then She-Hulk is number 1 far and away. That's why I put Maul, and I think I'd put Maul probably as number 2, Mario as 3.
Now, can't Darth Maul manipulate the Force?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. This one, look, it's definitely, like, you look at...
Like, I might go Darth Maul, Mario, She-Hulk.
You go Mario over She-Hulk in this?
Yeah.
In general? Really?
Well, I think I have to agree. I think I have to agree with him on that.
If he has the raccoon.
Wow. I clearly.
She-Hulk just has strength. That's what she has.
What?
Strength.
Well, she's like the Hulk though. She's nothing. Nothing can hurt her, right? It's the same thing. I know Hulk can get hurt, but I mean, like, it takes like this crazy extraterrestrial wolf for the Hulk to get hurt. So I don't see like how she's not number one here.
Well, a lightsaber could chop off a limb pretty quickly.
Yeah. Maybe.
No,
there's no guarantee.
I think it would.
You think it would?
It's space. It's space technology.
This is a good point. Space technology does tend to create problems for the Hulk, but damn, man. I'm stunned. And Knuckles is getting no love here. Where do you guys put Knuckles on your list?
Well, if you're not good enough to be top billing in your own video game,
I put Knuckles third in the Sonic universe. I put Tails ahead of him.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Let's make a change here. If I take Knuckles, put him on Team A. So you have right now She-Hulk. No, Wes, you have Darth Maul, Mario, She-Hulk, right? As your 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
If I put Mario and Knuckles and I flip-flop them, do you think that's a little bit more even teams?
It could have been.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Live and learn. So I made a mistake there.
I like Knuckles, but I always felt Knuckles was a do-over for Tails.
Yeah.
He was way more badass.
Like, that's what it seemed like to me. He was always just like, though, we kind of messed up on that last one, so let's give you this guy instead.
I always like Knuckles most, personally, out of the Sonic characters.
Oh, in terms of character, yeah. I like him. I think I like him the best.
Sure. Not sure what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
He or she, I don't know.
He's got that powerful punch. He's got the knuckles. Anyways.
Yes, he's got dreadlocks and stuff, right?
Yeah, he does, exactly. Anyways, so obviously leading up to this, we're not just worried about Spider-Man Far From Home as much as it was a great movie. We have other stuff going on in the world, Wes. What else has been on your mind?
So as I continue to meet new people.
And Tim, I'm logged off, sorry.
I'm forced to, feel out people in this conversation and stuff and see whether or not we are going to click and be friends or anything like that.
Okay.
I found a good barometer of whether or not, if I ask this question, I can figure out pretty quickly if we're going to mesh.
Okay.
And it's, do you like I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson? That's all it is. Oh. And if you don't like that show, then I think we might have a tough time getting along. Especially from sense of humor standpoint.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, again, another show that is widely popular.
Is that so is that as much of a problem as not liking it?
If you haven't seen it, I mean, you can't see it. But if you don't like it, then I think that's a hard decision.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. So like sense of humor wise, like who is he?
Well, we've talked about this on the previous podcast before. I've talked about I Think You Should Leave. He's a former SNL writer.
Right. I remember that.
And then the show is produced by the Lonely Island. He's kind of like an Andy Samberg, that type of thing.
That's okay.
But it's kind of like awkward sense of humor that I think of with like Tim and Eric or kind of weird out there type of stuff.
Okay.
It's a sketch comedy show.
I'm sure.
It's funny.
I have a hard time imagining that.
Some of the stuff's hit or miss, but for the I would say it's 70-30 good stuff.
Is there a lot of awkward humor?
Yes.
Not that I don't.
Now you don't even watch The Office because it's awkward, which again I also think is pretty egregious.
I'll go back and watch it, but it's the same thing as Stranger Things. You nailed it on the head. I don't know if we said it during the show. It might have been before. I can't tell, but. That there is some level of concern on my end that I'm going to get so engulfed in a show and then I just won't be able to pull myself out of it when I start doing that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, when you have jobs and stuff, yes, there can be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's prioritizing yourself, but
that's where I have a little bit of an issue.
Just cut out the according to Jim's. And watching Castlevania twice.
First of all, according to Jim was like before I had jobs.
Quit watching Constantine on demand.
Well, Constantine, but see, that's the thing. I like just having it on the background where I can phase in and out. For those who've been following along with the show, may remember that I said it's not on Netflix anymore. It's on Sci-Fi On Demand. So it is out there if you guys are looking for it. And I was watching a little bit of it today before work got busy with more Thunder nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's a good little flick. It's self-contained, which I love, and I think that Keanu Reeves plays a good John Constantine. There are some
he's great.
There are some flaws with it, but considering when the movie came out, I enjoy it and I appreciate it. So if you haven't watched it yet, Sci-Fi On Demand, I highly recommend it. They cut some things out because it's like
sure.
for TV, trying to fit it, whatever, blah, 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 all that stuff. But yeah, definitely worth your time. And, way before all this MCU stuff ever got started.
Yeah. So I think that's all I got to do for this. That's all that's on my mind here. I think next week, though, we should maybe talk about summer blockbuster movies, best summer blockbuster movies.
I think
that could be interesting. I don't know what else is coming out.
That is a good idea. There was another one that you said in the course of all this that I can't remember, but I think we could work our way through that.
Okay.
I think that works for me. All right, awesome. So
that sounds great.
Summer blockbuster movies next time.